Ty Lasseter's the CEO at Lasseter Capital, and I just like what he had to say because last time I checked, prices were high under Mr. Auto Pen. They didn't go up under tariffs. Just a few things did, but most of all, it's where the interest rates are. Hi, Ty.
Good morning, Fawn.
How you doing?
I am doing fantastic, thank you.
You're very welcome. I loved the pitch because, not a whole lot of things have gone up because of tariffs.
No, I mean, at his own speech, his last one in Jackson Hole, Fed chair himself tried to make a dig at Trump on his economic policy by saying, that we would expect inflation coming from tariffs. And then in his own statement, he said it wasn't what we expected. And we've seen at most a one-time price adjustments. But that's what happens when you put the piper on the not on the consumer, but on the importer from the countries that are right now holding our cards. And when we push those back on them, they're the ones that burden that and shoulder that those costs, not the American consumer, which is what Powell has been saying would happen, and we haven't seen that happen yet.
And what's funny to me is that a lot of people are screaming tariffs, especially the Alphabet Soup News organizations. They cannot stop saying the word tariff, but they don't want to talk about illegals in the country doing illegal U-turns and killing American citizens. They won't even mention that. But it's on repeat because it's all they have. But what they don't understand is this really has not hurt the stock market all that much. At first, it kind of went yo-yo, but it's stabled out and even gained.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was the yo-yo effect, as you mentioned, I think was more from fear and concern of what Powell was going to do. Mm-hmm. I think most intelligent economists and financial experts, accountants and the like, know and understand what's going to happen. But they're sitting there looking at somebody who is somewhere lost in the sky or just so dead set on not looking weak and catering to Trump that he's not moving like he should. And so we saw a little bit of dip in the stock market. I think we're still going to see a push up to I think it could go as close to 50,000 before we really see a true correction. And I think we will see a correction once real estate starts making its move, when interest rates do come back down. But, further in his speech, Fed chair mentioned that we've seen a significant impact on the border with the border policy. And then in the same sentence, he mentioned that it has had a drastic impact on jobs in America and has strengthened the jobs market, which is both between that and not seeing the inflation that they thought from tariffs, the two primary reasons that we should bring interest rates down. And so I think hopefully he had that self-realization during the middle of his speech when he made the 2 points that should call for an interest rate decrease without maybe realizing it until he said it. But I think we should see a strong decrease in the interest rates, not just a quarter point tickle with it.
I love when people do that. They have a realization, they almost stutter for a minute, and then they're like, "Wow, I'm wrong." Okay, but for me, I did cut back on spending under Biden because I had to. Everything went up by $2 to $3. Dog food, cat litter, everything. It just skyrocketed. Some of it doubled. And I was like, wow, I don't know if I can afford this. And honestly, prices have not come down on just about everything that went up under Biden. But they're blaming Trump for those prices, and that's just not a reality. And people have not stopped spending.
Yeah, no, not at all. People have not stopped spending, and I think the inflation to the extent that we have seen it has an impact, nationwide, demographic wide. Our clientele, I work with high net worth individuals. And many of our thousands of investors that we work with were impacted as well. And these are, multi-seven-figure net worth individuals, and they were affected. And whether it was them individually or their businesses or the families and the employees that work for them in their businesses, somehow it had an effect on everyone in America, and it has had that effect. And so at the end of the day, Americans still have to live, and so we're still seeing spending, but that right now is affecting their home life now. And so it's affecting their ability to purchase a home, to have affordable housing. We have not seen builders and developers building like what we should. So we've got an inverse relationship of supply and demand with affordable housing. And so until interest rates come back down, we're going to continue to face that problem.
And I'm telling you right now, I bought a house 2 years ago out of absolute necessity. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I had to buy a house. I couldn't stay in an apartment anymore. It was going to be trouble. So I had to find a house because of my dog. And so I ended up buying with a high interest rate. So I can't wait till they come down so I can refinance, get myself right.
I remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, when my parents bought a house in the mid to late 90s when it was 8% interest rates. And then in the early 2000s, interest rates dipped down to like 5.9 to 6.1. And I can remember my dad sprinting to the bank to refinance.
That's true.
And I mean, with a rate cut like that, and with what we should see, I think we should see 100 basis points. I mean, a rate cut like that is going to cut monthly mortgage costs for buyers by 25% plus or minus over the 30-year life of their loan.
Yeah. So I hope it drops down to like 4.5%. That'd be great. Even 5 would be great. But 6.5% on a house, which sounded good in the early 2000s because 8 was even worse, is still not good.
No, I agree. I mean, we're going to have to see a significant change. I don't know that we'll go below 5, but anything in the 5s I think would be strong for the economy right now at this point, and it's going to move the market. I mean, there's over 500,000 houses in inventory that are just setting right now.
Yep.
And it's just not good for the market and the economy. I think 100 to 150 basis points over the next 6 to 12 months will drive a huge impact on the economy.
Yeah, they can't prolong this high interest thing for much longer, or people are going to stop spending.
Well, for sure. Or, I mean, what we're seeing already is America is turning to a European housing market. And I mean, at the end of the day, the American dream for young millennials and Gen Zers is not what it used to be. They're not looking for a 30-year mortgage in one place. They want flexibility. And so many people are moving to rent now, which is not a bad thing for flexibility purposes, but still it drives up the cost of rent when investors and developers can't afford to build and develop. And so having reasonable interest rates is just good for the economy, whether it's consumers buying a home or it's investors buying a portfolio of properties and pushing the cost of rent down, which is paramount right now. That's got to be the focus. And I think that's Trump's focus. Trump is a real estate developer himself. He is focused. I've been saying he's focused on Main Street, not Wall Street. And when Main Street is fixed, then he'll address Wall Street. Yeah. And Wall Street can do its thing along the way.
You know, I know a lot of people who have been pushed out of the renting market who aren't sure what they're going to do because, you know, everything's going up. The price of everything is going up, including utilities and other things that are necessities. So when your landlord gets that increase in utilities and it's part of your rent's going up. And so
that's right, it gets pushed through.
Yeah, I worry about the people on fixed incomes who've been in their apartments for 10, 15 years and have been loyal companions even to the people who are the property owners. And they're like, I'm sorry, I have to raise your rent because I've got bills to pay and I'm not meeting mine now because everything's going up. So I don't think people realize the wraparound effect. And I don't understand why people are hating on people who make 6 or 7 figures because I'd sure as heck like to be one of them. I'm just not. So we've got to know that those are the people creating the jobs, and they're also the ones who are getting hit in the face by what happens on Wall Street and by the feds not doing what they're supposed to do, and then they can't hire more people and do more good for the people and the planet because they're in a chokehold.
I think you could not have laid it out any better. And that kind of laid out, how Trumpnomics has been the focus to working the economy. At the end of the day, tariffs on countries that are holding our cards right now put the burden on them, pushing for exploration, oil and gas exploration back in our country, and bringing jobs back to our country and bringing interest rates down so business owners can run their business, hire employees, and developers can develop, brings more jobs to the economy, which is good for everyone. And yes, I get it. With the border policy, there's certain jobs that maybe certain demographics of people would prefer to have that job over others. But at the end of the day, if we run a good jobs market here and we have a tight jobs market where wages are reasonable and fair and the employers can afford those wages, then we're going to get the local employees anyways, the local laborers, the local staff. And so, that's what we really need here.
Yeah. And I am not opposed to people being here on a work visa. I'm not opposed to that. That's fine. They're paying taxes.
Not at all.
Yeah. So come on in. Just don't overstay your visa, because if you do, then you've broken the law. That's all there is to it. CEO of Lassiter Capital, Ty Lassiter, he said tariffs didn't crash the economy, but the Fed could, and honestly, I think AutoPen crashed the economy, and the tariffs were just a good idea to even the playing field. Now it's up to the Fed to make things right so we can all afford to live again. Ty, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.